Welcome back to the channel, you guys. Today we are here for another update on the house project. As I mentioned in a previous video, taking over as a general contractor means a lot of different things. And the first is I'm a glorified trash man. So as you can see behind me, we've got a dumpster. That dumpster was provided by our good friend Chet over at Discount Dumpsters here in Springfield. Highly recommend him, super responsive. Very reasonably priced dumpster, just really great company to work with. So, but obviously we're not here to talk about dumpsters and trash. We are here to talk about the amazing companies and people that have helped this project get back on track since we had all the issues that got me into making these videos in the first place. I'm just gonna run through some names real quick and then let's go in and look at their work. So the first is gonna be Josh from Apex Electrical down in Harrison, Arkansas. Josh saw my videos, saw that I was having trouble, and he reached out to me and has just done an absolutely amazing job. His guys show up when they say they're gonna show up, they do the work they say that they're gonna do, they charge me a reasonable price for the work that they're doing, and they leave the job site clean. They clean up after themselves, and that just and answer all of my questions, and it's just been an absolute amazing delight to work with Josh from Apex Electrical. So highly recommend them if you're anywhere in this area, Springfield to Harrison or anywhere in between. Highly recommend these guys. They do really, really good work. Second is going to be Pavel's Plumbing. As I mentioned last week, phenomenal guy, ton of attention to detail, does really good work, and just want to give him a shout out and make sure that if you guys need plumbing needs in the Springfield, Missouri area, you're reaching out to him. Third place that I want to talk about is Armitage Heating and Air. They were a connection that Pavel connected me with, and they have done just an absolutely amazing job with HVAC, answered all of my questions. With this build, we are doing some slightly non-standard things that require some extra details with the HVAC, and the guys at Armitage Heating and Air Conditioning have just been absolutely amazing to work with. That's the big thing that I've found with these contractors that are really good, is that they do the work that they say they're gonna do, and they clean up after themselves. Just a quick cursory rough sweep when you're done, and the guys that I have out here are just doing an absolutely amazing job of that, and I wanna recognize them for that. So without anything else, let's go inside. You guys have already seen plenty of my face, so I'm gonna show you all this stuff without showing my face in it. And we're looking at some of the stuff, detail work here. This is a water softener loop. If at some point we wanna add a water softener, just a little bit of pipe, I had the plumber go ahead and add that so that we've got that. We've got all of our light switches, we got water, we ran an extra plumbing circuit to potentially run a recirculation pump at some point if we decide we need that. We've got an outlet up here that's gonna run our ERV, that's what that blocking is for. Obviously we got our line set coming in for heat pump, and we are just making great progress here. Coming out here to the utility room, we've got so first of all, before anybody jumps down anybody's throat here, electric rough-in is not done. Plumbing rough-in is done, mostly. This is actually a detail I wanted to show you guys real quick here. So this is how my plumber checks for leak. We pump this gauge up to 75 or 60, what did he do? I think it was 75 pounds that we pumped this up to, and then let it sit. And this has been sitting for 4 days, and it has dropped to 50 pounds. So there is a leak somewhere in the system, and my plumber is coming back tomorrow to locate that leak and fix it. So we're air checking the system. We're not just saying, yeah, it looks good, have a nice day. So electric rough-in's not done. That's why some of this stuff that you might see doesn't quite look done. It's because it's not. He's coming back. But I mean, just looking at our cable management going up through here, just everything is beautiful. We got the fire foam in, all the penetrations up there, and it's kind of hard to see from down here. We'll go up into the attic in just a minute, and we'll take a look at some of the HVAC stuff from the top. But we've got all of our wiring. All the wiring is in place, so most of the wiring is in place. We're wrapping up that. There's some little details that we did in here. This wall right here, we're looking at maybe someday adding another doorway in this wall. And so we went ahead and we had him run the wire up and over where a door would be. This wall is not load bearing, so at any point we can add that and we won't have to worry about anything as far as the electrical is concerned. There's another thing that a lot of people have pointed out, and that is that header heights are not the same. So if you look at this, you can see that the header height on these windows is higher than the header height on the door. So it's an 8-foot door, and what we had decided to do was we matched all of the windowsill heights. So the windowsill height is consistent throughout the whole build. So those windows are the same height. You can see windowsill heights are the same all the way around this build. And then on the bigger windows, the header is taller. So that is something that is intentional. That's something that we chose to do this way, and Right, wrong, or indifferent, that's how we did it, and I'm happy with the result. One of the big things that was noticeably different about the guys from Armitage Heating and Air was the system design and the care that they took to design this system well so that it works well in every corner of the house. Now, my experience right now is with a really, really low-end rental. It is new construction, but it is terribly designed. And this is the detail that I really like, is that right there is a return box. So there's a whole system of return ducts that pick up air in almost every room in the house so that air is circulating, heated or cooled air is circulating through every room, and so you don't get cold spots because of that. So a well-balanced, well-designed system is what we're looking at here. And there's just, it's really well designed. And again, we'll talk more about that once we get up into the attic, but I just wanted to point that out as a detail that's just absolutely, you don't realize how much that matters until you're in somewhere that doesn't have that. Nothing really exciting over here, that just a bathroom. There's nothing super exciting in this end of the house. But let's go up into the attic and let's talk about the exciting stuff up in the attic. Okay, so now we're in the attic. Let me show you where we came from here. That's our attic access hole. We do have a window up here in the attic to let in some natural light. And then we have Advantech subfloor that holds all this together. Now, we did have an issue with the building moving in high wind. It wasn't a lot, but it was just a little bit. So I consulted the engineer truss drawings, brought in a couple of people to look at stuff, and what we concluded was these trusses are designed to have a floor in them that ties them together, and without this Advantech subfloor, they're not functioning as designed. So we added the Advantech subfloor, and then I also added some diagonal bracing through the trusses here, as you can see, that gives us just a bit more rigidity. So there's just a couple little details, like I said, that I added. I also added this one board right here, and that just ties kind of these end trusses to the end wall. And it's just some extra lumber up in here to help tie everything together. But looking at our HVAC duct work here, this is just, first of all, I'm so glad I don't do this for a living, because this just looks like such a pain to figure out where all these go and route everything right. But as you can see, we've got one long run of solid, rigid duct that runs the length of the building, stepping down as needed. There's different joints where it gets down to smaller sizes. There's a rigid duct that runs the length of the building that's fresh or conditioned air. And then down over here, we've got another run that goes the length of the building that's the return air. And then everything runs under the subfloor as far as going under here. So from this angle, you can also see those plumbing lines, and you can tell they are just, I mean, they're not tight as a guitar string. They just look tight as a guitar string because they are so perfectly straight. So, I mean, this is the kind of work that you can expect to see from professionals. Like, man, look how straight those are. It just brings me joy to see people that really take care in their craft and just do absolutely beautiful work. So obviously there's a ton of stuff going up in the attic. One thing that a lot of people were pointing out in my last video is concern about these lines freezing up in here. And the reason that we're not gonna have that issue is because we're doing a conditioned attic space. So up on the roof deck is where the insulation goes, not down in the ceiling. So everything up here is gonna be, it's spray foam all up here on the roof deck. So this upstairs space doesn't have any vents as far as HVAC is concerned up here. So this whole attic space is probably gonna be 10 to 15 degrees plus or minus what the main living area is. Again, another window on this end. So this upstairs area someday will be finished out when we can afford it. And whenever we do that, we'll switch that just hole with a ladder to probably a stairwell somewhere kind of in this vicinity. But someday this will be finished out as a usable space. The problem is, and you can kind of tell when you see the window, is this space is huge. So we're a little over 12 feet side to side, but we are like 6'3" from the subfloor to the top ceiling boards. So it's not gonna be a full height, space, but eventually, like obviously there's a ton of storage space up here, but eventually we're gonna be able to add you know, like a kid's playroom or something like that that doesn't require the ceiling height that is required for, you know, normal living. So this is a really cool space, and I'm super excited to someday turn this into something that's actually usable. But for right now, it's just a giant open room that allows us to have all of the structural rigidity that we need. And then obviously you can see our main ducts here for HVAC coming out and then going down through the floor. So a little bit of encroachment into the floor, but not a big deal at all. There's still a ton of floor space. There's like 700 square feet of floor space up in this attic. So super excited to be able to use that someday. Let's go downstairs, recap a couple things, and then we'll wrap this thing up. This is the part where you get to see my face and I get to explain just a couple of things real quick to you guys before anybody loses their minds in the comment section below. The first is in regards to my electrician that stole a deposit from me. Is I am not the one who broke the contract. I am not the one who hired him. I am not the one who gave him a deposit. When I fired my general contractor, I had the electrician, who I knew had the deposit at that time, sign a contract with me, agreeing to work for me and agreeing to credit me the deposit that my general contractor had paid him. Now, there were terms in that agreement. It's a legal document that he signed, and in the terminology of that, he was in breach of some of those details, specifically dealing with communication, because I had communication issues in the past. Before I drew this contract up, I included specific language that spoke to communication. So when I asked for my deposit back, I attempted to negotiate some sort of a settlement that was reasonable. I understand that stringing him along for months, expecting to do the work, is frustrating. I understand that, and I was willing to compensate him for that frustration. And it's not that I got a lower quote and decided I was going to fire him. It was that everything that my general contractor touched has burned me and burned me hard. And so as a result of that, I decided I don't want anything to do with him, not because he's a bad guy, not because any of his references don't check out, but because I don't want to deal with anything that my general contractor touched. So I said, hey, let's figure something out. And that's when he ghosted me. And he has not returned a call, a text, an email, or anything. And it's been 3 weeks since I've heard from him. So I tried, when he ghosted me and it was looking like he was going to disappear, I tried to just get him scheduled to come out and do the work, and he ignored me. So I went through the proper process that I'm contractually obligated to go through to notify him that he's in default on the contract because he broke the contract. I notified him of that default. I allowed him the time to cure that default, he could have cured that default as easily as picking up the phone and calling me, and he did not. So because of that, the contract was automatically terminated last week, and he has, I have to double check that, it's either 7 or 10 days that he has to return the unused deposit, which in this case is all of it, because he hasn't done any work, he hasn't purchased any materials, and I have that in writing from like a week or two before this when he said, well, I can purchase the materials if you need me to and bring them outside, and like it was like we didn't have a space to do it, didn't make any sense. So all that being said, no, I didn't break the contract. He broke the contract. Because he broke the contract, he's contractually obligated to return my deposit to me, and he has not. He has not called me. He has not done anything to try to set up any kind of a payment arrangement or anything like that. I'm gonna have to take him to court, whether that's small claims court or if I get a lawyer and I sue him. And like, lawyers are great, and a lot of people are like, oh yeah, get a lawyer, like they'll handle this for you. I'm like, well, yeah, but they charge money. And I've had $82,000 stolen on this job between the electrician and the framing contractor. I don't have money for a lawyer. And it seems wrong that people are able to get away with this sort of financial crime and alleged financial crime. And there's no recourse. Like, if you take all of my money, there's no money left for me to sue you. That is super frustrating to feel like there's nothing I can do because there is just simply no money left. It's really not a good situation. And ultimately, this is a deep, deep financial hole that I'm going to dig my way out of. I'm going to get to the other side of this. We're going to finish this house, and we're going to get through this. But it is going to be years and years and years of paying on this debt before we pay off just the money that was stolen, much less, you know, the house cost or any of that. So the dream and the goal of being debt-free with this house is just like slipping farther and farther away, and that is a really frustrating reality to come to grips with. I'm gonna keep bringing videos to you over the next month or so as we finish out this construction, and then we'll probably drop down to a more reasonable rate of a video or two a month. So if you're used to this weekly video and you like it, make sure that you are subscribing and watching all of these videos. So with all that being said, this is where I'm going to wrap this video up. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video or if you had any questions about it, please make sure you share those in the comments below and share this video with a friend so that hopefully they don't go through what I've had to go through. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.